Okay, so midterm. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't graded it yet. I apologize for that. Yeah, that is on my list. Fall 2017 B. So if you don't have Unity up and running, go ahead and do that. All of you probably have your midterm just ready to go, same as I do. Okay. So that midterm, where are you? Is that it? That's the other one. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'll be right back.
We're going on a field trip.
Oh.
Botanica, yeah.
Fun.
Long time we've got to take
I was looking at his Twitter, he's like, oh, there's a link right there.
And I guess the cameras are in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And-
Sean Rhodes should be able to help you with that.
Okay, but they're in, are they in your room?
They're in my room.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So there's my midterm. Here's my instructions. Save. So new scene with a plane for a floor. Scale of 515. That makes the plane 50 meters by 50 meters. Add an FPS controller to the center. Suppose mine's not actually in the center. That one's pretty easy. You guys got that one right. Create 4 steps that play a sound when you jump on them on your way to the second level. Make the sound come from each cube. So that's going to require 1 script attached to 4 cubes. I have a step sound script. I suppose I could have just tagged them differently. That would have worked too. But all my step sound script does is it has a reference to the audio source on the cube, and then it has a public audio clip tone, and then we get the audio component, right? So we have a reference to it. And then I used on trigger enter. I'm sure a lot of you used on collision enter like I tried the first time.
I kind of made that mistake.
So that's what I tried the first time, and it's because in our previous code we used on collision enter, so we could do fancy stuff. It wasn't triggering with the FPS controller the way I wanted it to, so I said, screw it, I'm just going to use the on trigger enter. And then if other game object tag is player, play one-shot tone. The way that I built the trigger on my steps is that I just added a second box collider and then set it to a trigger with a size of 1.1, 1.1, 1.1. So it is slightly larger than the step itself. You can see I probably run into it on the side and still get that tone. I could have easily just set it to 111 and then set this to 0.1, made it a little bit higher, so that when you stepped on it, it would call the trigger and play the sound, and you'd be in good shape. So each one of these is the same way. It's totally fine to add 2 of the same collider to something and just have a is trigger for the second part. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. If you did it a different way and it still works, that's totally fine. The only important part is that they make sounds. 3, create a list of 6 names. Use a for loop to create 50 spheres around your floor, and assign each sphere a random name from your lists. Also assign each sphere the tag sphere. Let's see, where did I put the script? Probably not that guy. I think I put it on the floor. Create balls script. So here's my list of names. List string names equals new list string. This is called a collection initializer. Does everybody know about that? Byerly, do you know about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did do that. We did mess with the names earlier before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we did those. That's how we did it.
Okay. Just checking that everybody knows about collection initializers. They're real nice. So in start, we have a for loop. For int I equal to 0, I is less than 50. Keep looping. I create a new variable named ball of the type GameObject, and we make it equal to GameObject create primitive type sphere. We've done this a couple of times in class. I don't think anybody had any issues with that. Hi, Cliff. And then I set the tag of the ball to sphere, and then I set the name of the ball to a random range. If everyone remembers the syntax for calling a single item in an array, the syntax is just names of 2 is equal to, I don't know, what is it equal to? Palpatine. And so what I'm doing is instead of putting in 2, I'm putting in just a random number between 0 and 5. So that's what's happening there. And then ball.transform position is equal to new vector 3, a random range from -25 to +25. That's on the x-axis. On the y-axis, it's 2 to 5. And then on the z-axis, it's -25 to +25. So when I hit play, it builds the following spheres. They're all white by default. Questions?
Does it matter if the variable list is capitalized?
It should. This right here? Oh, this guy? Which one?
No, where just before string with the list. That
It,
one.
it should.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that, I don't know. It's a really weird font that gives me almost the same L. But lowercase is throwing an error.
Okay.
Uppercase is
Proper.
fine.
Okay. I thought yours was lowercase, so I
Cool.
was confused.
All right. Okay, so instructions. 6 names, for loops create 50 spheres, random name, random tag. If I hit play, and it's not in maximize on play, I can see each one of these has a name. They're all tagged as sphere. So it's working. Questions about that? That makes sense? We all know how to get to the tag and get to the name and the position. Okay. So what's next? In a different script, attach the FPS controller. So here's my FPS controller. Here's my parse spheres script. We do the following. Create an array of game objects and fill it with every object with the tag sphere. So that would be accomplished by using Here's my array of game objects. I'm going to name it balls. And I find all of the objects tagged as sphere with GameObject.find GameObjects with tag. We've used that before in class too. I don't think anybody had any problem with that. One thing you might run into is that there is also a method called find GameObject with tag, and it returns a single game object. And so if you didn't have the S, you run into errors because this is an array and this is just a game object. So this cannot equal that, and that's where you'd have an issue. So pay attention to that next time we use that. So this is an array, balls, and so is find game objects with tag. It returns an array. It's exactly what it says in the Unity documentation. And then we needed to go through and look for a few names and do stuff if we found those names. Use a for loop to go through every item in the array of spheres looking for names. All spheres named Vader should be colored black. So here's my for loop. Since there's 50 objects, I just went through 50. If the array index of I, so let's say it's 0 the first time. Don't forget to sign in. So if the first item in my array is named Vader, if balls of 0.name is equal to Vader, we say that particular index in my array dot get component renderer material color equals color black. And then I turns into 1, I turns into 2, I turns into 3. And we check for if the name is Yoda, change its local scale to 0.5. It wasn't required for you to do this line, but I added it in because why not? And then finally, if the name is Palpatine, make it fall. So that's add component rigid body, which makes it run with physics, and then it falls to the ground. And I changed it to red because black was already taken. Questions about that? Does that make total sense? Okay. Hi, Alex. Okay. Making sure to have a sphere collider and a rigid body on your FPS controller. Move every sphere that you run into. Fall inside a box that you create. A ball pin, if you will. Okay. I actually didn't do this, so I get to do it now. Go me. This is my sphere collider. I'm going to make it a trigger. And we need to go back to this script here. Void on trigger enter. Collider other. If other.gameObject.tag is equal to sphere. Other.gameObject. So that's a reference to the GameObject transform.position. I know it seems really long, but we're just making our way to the right thing. Is equal to new vector 3. Let's say, well, let's just find out where I want to put it. Nope. Okay. So roughly here. -4, 9, and 50. Okay. And then just for fun, doesn't have to be in there, honestly, but that way they'll fall into the pit and just kind of hang out. Can't add rigid body because it already exists. Shall we maximize this? That's interesting. Okay. Is that how you guys did it? Yeah? Okay. Sure, you could have made yours a random range so it falls somewhere in there. Or you could have said transform.translate probably. Oh, everyone that I pick up also pops into place there. So you get a real good time in the ball pit. Okay. So that gets that done. Create a timer that calls a method every 5 seconds. This function will create 10 cubes in a random location around the map. Add rigid body components which will cause them to explode. I believe I did that on the create balls script, which is now incorrectly named because I'm also creating spheres. So here's my timer. Timer minus equals time.delta time, and I believe it starts at 2. This would be set at 5 per the assignment. And then if timer is less than or equal to 0, call the method explosion cubes, where I set timer back to 5. And then I create 3 floats, X, Y, and Z. I'll show you another way to do this. I'm sure some of you did. So I say X is equal to a random range, -20 to +20. Y is equal to a random range of 5 and 8. And then Z is equal to a random range -20 to +20. So these are the same X, Y, Z coordinates that we would use in our vector 3. But I built them outside the for loop so that when explosion cubes is called, these are generated and assigned a random number. But inside my for loop, I use the same number, X, Y, and Z. This guy here, Y plus I times 0.1, makes it so that I times 0 times 0.1 is what? It's 0. 1 times 0.1 is 0.1. I of 2 is equal to 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. And so the boxes are stacked here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and here. And so instead of exploding sideways, they exploded vertically. So that's how I made mine explode vertically, is for all 10 of the objects in my for loop, they were slightly above each other. So I created a box, created a primitive, box transform position equals new vector 3 of these X, Y, and Z coordinates. Get component render material color as a random color. Did I require that?
No.
Okay, that was extra. Don't worry about it. Add component rigid body to make it explode, and then add component grow box, which was another script later. And then I just say destroy the box after 35 seconds. Questions about this? Okay, that was kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to make. I made like a separate script for the exploding boxes.
that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, if you wanted to build another script, that's totally okay. The other way we could have built this is instead of creating a new float, we could have created a new vector 3. Ran pause is equal to new vector 3. And then we just have our random.range in here. And then we could have said its box transform position is equal to random position. Oh, yeah, I'd have to fix that. So plus, what was it? Why not? Oh, good point. So I doesn't exist outside here. So, good point. I could do, could I do plus vector 3, 0, comma, and then put it here? Maybe. Plus equals, maybe? Nope. That's plus plus. Cool. So I could do that, and that would work and be the same, but however you wanted to do it. And then on each of those cubes, add a new script that destroys them after 20 seconds. Well, I did that wrong, didn't I? While making them 10% larger every second. So that is the yes, there we go. Pause. Here's some new cubes. Here's my new grow box script. So float timer of 1. Timer minus equals time.delta time. If timer is less than or equal to 0, set timer to 1 again. And then this.transform.local scale plus equals new vector 3, 0.1f. Did anybody do it differently? Use a coroutine, no problem. Dalton, yours were growing a little bit every frame, weren't they? It was a smooth grow.
I set basically the scale goes with like a time.delta time times 0.1f.
Sure.
It's for both the x, y, and z.
Nice.
So it's basically just a slow expansion.
Yeah, it was really pretty. So that would just be simpler than having a timer. This.
And then I just basically, as for the instruction, I just set it to a destroy game object, and it would basically disappear after 20 seconds.
Yeah. So do something like this. I think that would accomplish the same thing. And then in void start, you would just say destroy game object. You could say this.gameObject, and then after, what, 30 seconds? I don't remember what I said it was supposed to be. 20 seconds. There we go. So let's see what we get. There's that smooth growth. Real pretty and creepy. Oh God! Yeah, I like that more. That's really scary. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so if you didn't do some of that, maybe you did part of it. I can give you partial credit for it. That's the midterm in a nutshell. Does everybody do all those things? Yeah, totally. Okay. So what are we going to do next? Do you guys want to practice some of this stuff on the midterm? Or do you want to practice some of the stuff on the midterm going into our next major project? Okay. So for the next major project, I want to be able to run around my level and shoot stuff. I want to build an enemy that has some health, and after its health is below 0, to have it die or disappear or fall over, something like that. I want to add different gun types, like Borderlands has shotguns and machine guns and pistols and snipers. And then I want to build in, not all today, not all today, but I want to build in accuracy. So some guns are really accurate and shoot straight every time, and then a machine gun that's very inaccurate will have a spread of bullets. Just all stuff that we can build in and then have. I also want to build picking up objects, and I want to build being able to drop those objects and have an inventory. So if we press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can have 5 different weapons, right? So things like that. That's what I want to build. Does that sound interesting? No? Yes, it does. You guys are crazy. Now, I understand at 8:30, nothing sounds interesting except for sleep. I'm with you there. So, new scene or new project if you want. We'll be working on this same scene for quite a while, for several weeks. All right. Riley, new Unity project? We should.
Color anything specific?
I
just like to label my folders.
Do whatever you want. So go ahead and build a plane with a scale of 3 by 1 by 3. Make sure it's set at 0, 0, 0. Let's go ahead and give it a color because it's kind of bright. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the internet and find a really fancy like grid checker pattern. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Okay, make sure your FPS controller's on there.
What did you get for that specific grid? What did you search?
Checker. It's a pretty cool grid, right? Yep, just checker. And then if you wanted to pick a different one, you could view more that are similar to it. Oh yeah, that one's my favorite. Professor Rhodes' favorite. Oh, look at this one. Super retro. Oh yeah, I'm into that. I'm gonna have to get a few of these. That's what she does, yeah. Yep, she's gonna have to get a few of these.
What size did you make your plane?
3 by 3. Okay, so we all have our spheres in with our grids. We don't have any spheres. I don't know why I said spheres. But we have our FPS controller and we can walk around our scene. What I want to work on first, I think, is the gun script. How do we want to build our gun script?
I'd say have some sort of structure that can describe the stats of it.
Sure. So we're going to need some stats for our guns. Go ahead.
A bullet counter?
Bullet counter. So
Like how many bullets are are in the gun?
left or in the clip. Yep, that's going to be important. Okay, so let's create a gun-shaped thing. You can pick a cube or a capsule or a cylinder. I'm going to pick a cylinder, and let's put it in roughly the right spot as a child of our first-person character. So that's our camera. So I'm going to take this cylinder, I'm going to make it real small. And it's going to be slightly down and to the right. If you're left-handed, feel free to put it down to the left. Oh. Slightly forward. So if you can see when I hit play, there's my gun cylinder in roughly that position at the bottom of my screen. And on this cylinder, I'm going to add a gun component. And I'll just create a new script called gun. We could probably name it gun controller or something simpler, something similar to that. So what are we going to need? What are we going to need? I don't think we can use structs. We could. You can. But let's think a little bit simpler. Let's have a reference to perhaps a bullet. So let's say game object bullet. Let's make it public. And you know what? Our bullet should really have a rigid body on it. So I'm going to say rigid body bullet instead. And let's go ahead and create a new method called fire. And let's say that we, let's see, do we know about instantiate yet? So instantiate is a way to make a copy of an object. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to have a prefab of a bullet. And then we're going to create a copy of that bullet, and we're going to shoot it out of our gun. So the code goes, and they even have a copy of it here specifically for a projectile. And we say we can copy it just as is. Rigid body clone. Clone equals instantiate bullet transform dot position transform dot rotation, and then as rigid body. Clone dot add force vector 3 dot forward times 1,000. So do me a favor, go to your gun script. You're in your gun script.
Yes.
Go to your cylinder that we just made and make it a trigger so that its capsule collider is not actually going to interfere with the bullet. Yeah. And then, because I just want the gun to be in charge of the gun, I want to make sure that we have another script on our FPS controller. And this one will be called player controller or something similar. And I want a reference to the gun script. Gun. Nope, that's not right. And I'll go back to the other script in case you're still typing. I'm sure you probably were. So on our player controller script, we have a reference to the gun that we're holding. And because we want all input on that one player controller script, we can have input that says call the fire method on our gun. And later on, our gun might change. And so we can always have a reference to the correct gun that we're holding. Yes.
I get an error on the player controller that says gun does not contain a definition for fire.
Okay.
But it's right here.
Public void.
Public void.
I should do it.
That did it.
Cool. Cool. Everything good over here? Okay. Okay, so it shouldn't quite do anything yet because we haven't built a bullet, but I think we're ready. So let's go ahead and build a sphere.
Do you need to make a child with a gun?
Nope. It's not going to be anywhere. And we're going to make it kind of small, bullet sized, you know. I'm going to make mine 0.1 by 0.1 by 0.1. I'm going to make sure it has a rigid body component. I'm probably going to name it bullet. And I think I'll make it green. After that, drag it into your assets folder. I put it in a prefabs folder. And then once you have it as a prefab, you can delete it from your scene. With your gun selected, drag your prefab to your bullet public variable. You don't have a, yeah, there you go. Yes. No. That sphere there, that's your bullet, right?
Yeah.
Click on it. Needs a rigid body component. Good.
So let me add it.
Does it have a rigid body component on it?
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, Ricardo had that same problem. I won't let you add it to the gun script. Your gun script needs to be saved, or we need to fix the something. Lowercase t, transform, here. I think other people, yeah, wanted to look at my code. Sorry about that. There is the gun script. Does it fire? It does.
Sorta.
Okay. All right. We'll figure it out. How about you?
I missed on this. I got the code, but I missed
About the gun?
how you did that.
Okay, so open up your FPS controller on the hierarchy. Lower that one. Okay, so that first person character, we're going to drag our cylinder as a child of that. Yep. Okay, now let's set its
Oh wait, I grabbed
the direction light. Okay. All right, so set this position to 0, 0, 0. Close? It's still 4, because it's a jerk. All right, now set its rotation on the x-axis to 90. Okay. And let's set its scale to like 0.2. And then let's set it on the z-axis to 1 still.
Wait,
Yeah, there, right there. Oh, no, I lied. On the x-axis. Man, it really is mean to me. I'm totally wrong. It's the y-axis. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So then we find out which direction our camera is looking, and we move it in front.
Okay.
See it there? And then you're right-handed, right? Left-handed? Cool. So we'll put it there. Okay. And there's our fancy gun shooting at us. It's probably a little bit long. Yeah. But there's something more reasonable.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Got the bullet made in the prefabs. Now what do I do?
That needs to be a rigid body.
It has. Oh, need to have it.
And then drag it onto the bullet variable of your gun script.
Wait, like that?
Nope.
Oh.
So click on your capsule, this guy, and there's your bullet variable. Drag the bullet. Yep. Got your bullet. Click on your gun, and drag it there. Bingo. The bullet you can leave alone. Yeah. Is that method? Oh, it needs your parentheses opening and close after fire.
Is it normally supposed to work in only one direction?
Yes, it is. Because we built it wrong. You might have spelled cylinder wrong. Yes.
Not 100% sure what's like wrong with it. Because it's not fired or anything. Did I maybe need to like add a rigid body to everything? Or?
Let's hit play and see what happens.
It only shoots one way.
Yes, we will fix that.
Here,
Just click. You're clicking?
yeah.
Okay.
Should I get on?
Let's make sure that our script is attached to our FPS controller.
It is not attached to FPS.
Okay. All right, so it shoots in the same direction, or it should, no matter which direction we're firing. That's kind of frustrating. It's not going to work out so great. Another thing is sometimes it really just freaks out and shoots like straight up. So let's fix the first problem. Instead of add force, we're going to add relative force. And that should fix our direction issue. Hopefully. And then, good.
It shoots out 3, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
That worked for me. Kinda like,
So the issue that Dalton has is that it's creating itself inside the gun, and the gun's collider is messing with its collider. So let's just go ahead and make let's just turn the gun's capsule collider off. So the gun doesn't have a collider. It can run into stuff. It can't push anything, but it does shoot our bullets, well, in my opinion, straight up, which is frustrating. But that's because we rotated that cylinder. So I'm just going to change add relative force from vector 3 forward to vector 3 up. And hopefully it'll shoot out of the forward. Nope, it's shooting out behind me, isn't it? All right, vector 3 down. All of you might have rotated your cylinder a different way. But as soon as you find that right direction, you'll see it does what I want. A few of you, when you look up and down, your gun doesn't move with your camera. You need to attach it not to the FPS controller, but to the camera. Like this. If you can see my hierarchy. You've got yours here. You want it under first-person character. Mine doesn't shoot nearly fast enough. I'll change it to, what do you think, 5,000?
Huh, it's funny. As soon as I fix that problem, now I can shoot in any direction I want, not just forward.
Huh. Cool. Yeah, isn't that fun? Okay, you guys want to have more fun? Let's go to our player controller and change input get key down to just get key.
Now it's fully automatic.
Yep. Now it runs every frame. How you guys doing?
Mine still shoots out of the side.
All right.
Mine doesn't. Oh god.
So gun, and then Vector 3 down? That's strange. What are you using? Using a capsule, right? Or a cylinder?
I'm
A capsule?
yeah, capsule.
Weird. Try forward. You tried forward? Okay.
The variable gun has not been assigned.
Bullet. So click on IG gun,
Oh, now I think
and then there's where your bullet rigid body needs to go.
it's shooting behind me.
Oh, okay. So looking back? Yeah. Cool. So did you build a bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. So drag that onto that variable. Nope, the original. There you go. Your bullet needs a rigid body component. What do you guys think?
I fired this weapon for 12 seconds. How much money did I just spend?
A lot. Okay. So we're running into an issue. It's a kind of a fun issue of your bullets exist forever. And that can really slow down your game. So the question is, do we know how to destroy our bullet after 2 seconds?
Keep object destroyed?
Yep. Well, destroy is the first part. Ooh, okay. I want to try something. Rigid body, interpolate, collision detection, continuous. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Who's got issues of it shoots through your ground or through your cube?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Well, we don't want to do it anytime, so notice that I don't have that issue anymore. And the solution is to go to your bullet and then go to your rigid body component and change collision detection from discrete to continuous.
Now,
On the bullet.
I have kind of a glitch that is awesome.
Okay.
Not bad. It shoots 3.
I have a suspicion that you added your script more than once.
Wait, where would you go to do that?
On the bullet.
The bullet's not in the hierarchy.
Right.
No, but
It's
I
in the
can
assets
put
folder.
The bullet on the rigid body, if that's what you meant.
I know that basically.
So
actually-
one gun
For the-
script.
For the bullet, I have bullet on the rigid body. If
Let's
that's
look
what
at
you
your
meant.
scripts. Okay, look at player controller. Okay, let's look at your rigid body. Sorry, your bullet. Okay, let's look at your gun. Huh.
I honestly think it's just because I put bullet on there or something.
It's not, because everybody has that.
Oh.
So, very interesting. Shoots 3. Why is it shooting it sideways still?
Yeah, I never figured out how to fix that.
So let's go to our scripts. And gun. And change forward to up. And if that doesn't work, try down.
And that'll make it shoot straight.
It should shoot straight. Yes. How strange. Okay, so let's, in our gun script, make sure that we're destroying the clone. I'm going to destroy mine after 2 seconds. You can. The problem is you'd have to build a script on the bullet.
Gun doesn't move with the camera.
That's in your hierarchy on Unity. Your gun needs to be a child of the first-person character, which is the camera.
So this one.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yes. Pew, pew, pew. Yep, pretty sweet. Work?
No, it's not shooting.
It's not shooting.
Mm-mm.
What?
I think I put the script wrong. Script's wrong.
Yes, I agree. So the bullet gets nothing,
Okay.
and in fact isn't even in the scene. Do you have it in a prefabs folder anywhere? No, because you missed the prefabs day. That's how you build a prefab.
Okay.
Okay? And then on our gun script, we add the bullet, which this needs a rigid body, which it has. There we go. Okay? So this gun will shoot this bullet when the FPS controller says shoot it. So let's make sure our script is right. I'm sure it is. Yep.
Excellent. Hit Control P over there.
So yeah, good, and save, and try it. Sweet.
Oh, is it shooting backwards?
It's shooting straight up,
Oh.
which is an easy thing to fix. So back to our code for our gun. Add relative force vector 3 forward. Let's change forward to up. And if that doesn't work, try down. Okay. Nice. Are you jumping off of the bullets? What's happening, Dalton?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Nice. All right. That's cool.
Oh wow, that actually is kind of useful.
You can just press forward and do the
It just
exact same
works.
thing.
Yeah?
I can't say infinite troubleshooting.
Huh. Some people are exploring with rocket jumping.
I just made you really fast ball pit maker.
Because of how I have my gun position, and then the bullets are coming out.
Cool. I'm real excited because I didn't know about that continuous thing until like yesterday. So it's real nice for my bullets to always hit the floor. Who wants to make it look really cool? Everybody, right? Should we take a break first?
Yes.
We should probably take a break first. So come back at 9:20.
So you never answered my question on if I can buy games for that school account.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Because if I can, I'd totally buy Job Simulator for it right now.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Let me ask Daryl.
Alright.
Okay. I don't see why not. You know what would be better is if you bought it for yourself, and then you could log in under your Steam account.
You know what? Okay.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'm okay with you doing that right now. Yes.
When I add a random color to the bullets,
Yeah, you can.
what's
Yes.
the line of code for it?
It's random nut color HSV.
Okay, would I just do clone equals random color dot HSV?
No, you know. Look it up. We're going to do a different cool thing. I'm going to add a particle system to my bullet. Max particles like 100. Start lifetime is 5. 0. Start size. Constants. Emission, shape, color.
Also, if I haven't played, I hadn't tried yet.
I haven't. Have you?
It's so good.
Yeah, you like it?
It's really good.
Good. I own it. I kickstarted it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like the day it came out. And
Oh,
I was
really?
like, dude, you know what? Advanced Quest. And I was like, what's that?
Yeah, it's been a long time in the making. Yes, you can.
Cool. Then let's go.
You forgot which what? Which assignment we did Color HSV?
Yeah.
Me too. Why don't you just look up Color HSV on the Unity manual? Yes, Cameron.
Can I go log in and start the download now?
Yeah.
For next break or?
Yeah, you got it downloaded?
Yeah, well, I got it.
You got it bought?
Got it bought.
Okay. Give me a second. I love particles so much.
So does he have anything for my lab or what? So can I use the bullets?
Huh. No, I don't think so. That's pretty cool.
Then if I leave color HSV completely blank, it'll autofill that.
If you do what now?
If I leave the parentheses section on color HSV blank,
Correct. Or it'll be a random color. You don't need anything in your parentheses. You shouldn't. Yeah. What do you guys think of that? That's not bad. I do cool stuff. Okay. Come on, Cameron.
Hello.
Excuse us. Yeah, it's pretty loud. No. Right. Right. Good.
excuse me, how long will you be in here?
Just a second.
Yeah, we just need to do one thing.
Yeah. Wait, I have. You're good to see me? Put it back. No, you.
Steam, do you guys do that? Scope Steam?
Let's do Steam.
Try moving closer.
Let's do the regular Steam. I don't know. Use Windows. Try it sometime. So here, yeah. I think. Yeah, let me take a look.
It might be because it's in this mode. Let's try. There it goes.
Okay, yeah, get it downloaded and just leave it alone. Yes, sir. You added a crosshair?
Yeah.
Very nice.
The only thing is, it's not accurate.
That's pretty funny.
My bullets are now too big, so I'm just more of the emitter.
Awesome. Let's see it. Yeah, nice. Nice. my colors are a bit too vibrant. Yeah?
That was unnecessary. I started down like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was thinking it's probably a Unity game. It's probably real small. But, you know, there we go. Let's see. What do I want to change? Colors, less vibrant.
How would we add a sound for one shot?
So I can't walk forward diagonal.
Huh.
Oh, you know what? Where did you get that CS? Yeah, it's in the yes, that.
How did you? No. Like.
That one. Yeah, see what yeah, so now
Cool.
Figured out how to make it a shop now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
not really. It's just how
So every time it's pressed, it shoots out 4 times rather than just once.
Nice. Okay, so 5,000 is maybe too fast. Let's try 2,000.
well, but what's the function of it? So it's not function, it's something in one shot. Okay, well, so something's up in one shot will play sounds whenever it's called, right? Yeah. So, what event happens where you play sound? So whenever you click, you think you should call audio source play sound.
Huh.
What are you doing?
Who, me?
No,
Oh, okay.
no comment, no comment, take the comment out. That doesn't even make sense. Okay, you're gonna need to put it
You more or less just made the rate lower.
on the state computer so you
Huh. Can write my name.
can, well, the next one. And then audio source. No, it's not.
Cool. Okay. All right.
Close.
Really fast and cursive.
Yeah. So I usually include. I'm probably still recording. I usually include particle systems in interactive scripting, even though it's kind of really difficult to build a particle system with code, and it's really difficult to get to all the values in code. It's possible. It's just complicated. But I usually include it because it basically counts as programmer art. Okay? It's a good way to make your boxes and your cubes and your nothing look really pretty because it's got particles in it. Okay, so here's your short crash course on particle systems. I will go ahead and build, well, you know what? I'm going to build a different one that just sits in my level. So go ahead and follow along with me. Go ahead and make a cube that is 0.5 by 0.5 by 0.5. Let's go ahead and turn its box collider off. And let's add a particle system component. So if you're at the purple squares,
Missing texture.
you're in the right spot. This is a bug that they haven't fixed in 2017, Unity 2017. So we're going to go first things first, all the way down to the bottom, the renderer dropdown. And it says render mode billboard, normal direction 1, material, none. And we're going to click the little circle with a dot in it. And we're going to type particle in the search box for default particle. And this will at least look less terrible. Okay. Byerly?
Yes.
I don't know what you just did.
I thought I hit the right button.
Okay, scroll all the way to the bottom. Renderer, open that. Scroll down a little bit more. Under material, that dot right there starts typing particle. And select that one. Okay, we all have little white snowy things? Okay, so let's go all the way back up to the top and talk about the general parameters. Let's start with speed. Start speed. I'm going to set mine to 0. All right, so let's talk about all of these. Duration. That's how long it runs before it loops again or stops looping. So I usually leave this alone. I leave looping alone because, hey, it's going to loop. Sometimes you're going to be in a situation where, where you're going to want rain. So you set your gravity modifier to 0.3 or maybe just 1. And it's raining like this, right? But over like a really wide area. That's not what I want. And so what happens is it takes a second to get started when you hit play. And so you watch the first raindrops come down, and that doesn't look right. So you can use pre-warm so that as soon as you hit play, it is going. Start lifetime matters. That's how long your particle lasts. If you change this to 0.1, you notice that my particles exist just for a second. 0.5, they get down to about this cube here and then die. And that's their lifetime. That's how long each particle exists. It's created, it runs for half a second, and then dies. My bullets are currently set to have a particle system of a lifetime of 0.5, or maybe 1. This start speed is going to affect, how fast is it going when it's created. I generally leave mine at 0 because I want to use gravity or I want to use simulation space. Go ahead and let's change our gravity to 0 again. And let's change our simulation space to world. So when you move this guy around now, the particles stay in place where they were created, as opposed to if it was set simulation space to local, the particles would follow the box, and that looks super weird. It makes sense if you're doing something like an airplane that's shooting fire out of the back of a jet. But for most other things, you're going to want to set your simulation space to world so that the particles stay where they are and then move. And so if we change our gravity modifier to 0.2 now, those particles would fall from where they were created. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go down to the shape dropdown. It's currently set to emit from a cone, which I'm not a fan of. I generally always change mine to a sphere so that it builds from a volume. And so, for example, if I were to set the gravity modifier to 0 and the speed back up, well, it's going to emit from every direction randomly. And that I like a lot more. Okay. There are other things you can do. Set the size of the radius. Notice that the box that they're coming from, the sphere that they're coming from, is larger than the size of my box. If you want it to emit from that volume, 0.5 is going to be the right size for you. And then we get to emission, rate over time. If you hover over it, it says the number of particles emitted per second. You can increase this. Whoa, okay. Let's say like a 100. Yeah? Or 500.
So I now know how to make fireworks.
You now know how to make fireworks. That's true.
Is it possible to like make every single individual particle a random color?
Every particle a random color.
Like all of them?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I mean, when you put it to like, I think 10 or 100,000, it just becomes a firework.
Yeah. So let's talk about color for a second. Simple way, and this is something I wanted to show off anyway. Have a look at the little triangles next to, let's start with start speed. Okay? This little triangle, change it from constant to random between two constants. So now we get this, which we could set to 0, or let's set it to 1. And the other, which we could set to 5. And this will generate particles, and some of the particles will be moving at 5, some at 1, and the rest in between. And so that can be really useful to you. But you're right, there are a lot of them. And so if we go to our start color and do the same thing, random between two colors, we can set our first color. And we can set our second color. And they will be variations between those two colors. Pretty cool, right? Barley, are you creating 1,000 at a time?
I think yes.
Okay. So what you might run into is if you created 1,000 at a time,
It looks awesome.
or maybe 5,000 at a time, you see how it pops in like that?
Yeah.
Well, it builds them until we get to this max number of particles, and then it stops. So I only have 1,000 particles. They have a lifetime of 1, so this builds them for the first fifth of the second, and then it stops until the rest die, and then we build more. You can increase this at your own peril. And then have lots and lots of particles. But you might run into rendering issues. especially if you have more than one. I would not recommend turning this particle system into a bullet because each bullet that you create would have 50,000 particles, which is kind of a lot. But it is pretty if you only have one. If you wanted to add a little bit of gravity. Did you break Unity? I told you to. Come on, Cutter. Only a million, he says. Yes?
If you do, for start color, if you do random between two gradients, you'll have it where every once in a while it'll swap colors.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, so the color of the thing? So
right now I have two different color, well, four, but two different gradients.
Yeah.
One that's red, one that's green, one that's blue, one that's yellow.
Nice.
And it'll keep popping out yellow and green, and then just switch over to blue and red.
Huh.
It didn't like the extra zero.
So I tell you what I like. I like having my start color set to just white. And then I like messing with color over lifetime. Okay, it's totally dying right now, so I'm going to change this back to 1,000, change this back to 500. And if we scroll down to our drop down called color over lifetime, we can open this color gradient box where we start with a color like green, and then it fades to white. Or maybe in the middle it goes to a nice blue, and then maybe for a second a hot pink, and then finally the last color can be this smoky black. And so over the lifetime of the particle system, each particle changes colors. And I think that's kind of awesome too. What do you guys think? Yep. So fancy. So I'll show you another thing similar to color over lifetime, is size over lifetime. I don't like how my particles just disappear. They pop out of existence. I would much prefer that they would just shrink into nothing. So if you turn size over lifetime on, and come down here and look at the particle system curves, I'm going to change this curve to start out at size of 1 and shrink to 0, which is going to make my particles shrink to nothing as well. And it looks like they just fade out of existence, which is a really nice touch.
That way they don't just suddenly disappear, they actually just shrink.
Yes. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so let's add another thing. It's kind of new. It's called noise. And it randomizes the speed and direction of each one of our particles. I find that the strength is usually a bit high, and so I'll take that down to like 0.5. Go ahead.
Instead of having the bitter, now we have a swarm of mosquitoes.
Yeah, so instead of having this same speed, and actually go ahead and let's turn our speed to 0. Constant 0. So now our speed and the gravity is the only thing affecting the direction. And if you notice, I'll change my gravity to 0 as well. The particles have this random noise as they move around, and that's pretty. I'll change the speed to 1. Get a little bit of dispersion there. Yeah, look at that guy. That's what I'm looking for.
It's shooting vertical bullets. No big.
Is actually a viable option to do a swarm of bugs.
Sure, probably is. It could probably just sit there like some gnats and.
So I had the strength at 100. And that's what it looks like.
Nice. It looks pretty good to me. So what else? I like to change the start size to be different. A random between, maybe 0.2 and 2. Let's see, stop. Let's see, right. I think I'll just leave this particle system where it was. Oh, no, I wanted to talk about one more thing, didn't I? I wanted to talk about the collision dropdown. So it's absolutely possible to, instead of having these just float through things, have them collide with stuff. So if I turn collision on and set it to world, and then let's say set its lifetime to like 3. The default is really dumb. I don't know why it wants it to bounce off of everything. But if I change that bounce to like 0.2, it will bounce over everything in my world and just kind of walk off the sides, which I think is super pretty. And we could change its lifetime now to like 6. And you see how it falls all over my world. So that's collision. That's some really good effects.
How do you get like the things to have like a really, I can have like a complete physics and such?
That's the collision roll down on your particle system. Khalil, got some physics? Turning that bounce down?
Yes.
Good. You got some, change your type from planes to world.
There we go. Yep, they're
Got some
about-
negative gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sick. Making some fire. Did you change your sizes?
No, I don't think I did.
You can set your start size to be random. Yeah. Particles, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Pretty fancy, schmancy. Okay.
It's like a bomb.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know how you made that curve. Just messing around.
This color over lifetime, that curve, and then you click on it. No, that's the wrong one. So we did size over lifetime.
Okay, I must have just.
That's okay. Scroll down a little bit and click on that guy. One more time. No.
Oh. Back happy.
Uncheck that. Yeah. And then check that. And there's my curve. And if you zoom this out a little bit, you'll like this more. Just open this window a little bit more.
It's not letting me.
It really hates you. There we go.
That's that.
We've got default curves here.
Oh, okay.
And I like that one. And see how they get smaller over
Okay, here
time.
I made. That's really big. But I don't know if it's running into my stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's just change our gravity modifier to 0.5. That'll make it fall down. And then run it over to your stuff.
I'm having a hard time with it like this. Doing
Oh, I
this.
think your mouse is screwed. Let me see this for a second. I heard tell of the mouse being super awful.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
I keep losing my grip on stuff.
Okay. So I will get you a new mouse. Yeah, looks like it bounces.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Yes. Okay.
All right, thank you.
New mouse. Okay.
I'm still not having much with things bouncing.
Change the type from planes to world,
So this is fun.
and then change your bounce to like 0 or 0.2. Is that your gun?
Yeah.
And they all have
Particles on all of them.
nice.
Um,
It's pretty awesome.
Figured just something small at first, just as a quick test.
Good call. It'll catch up. Yeah, our particle system's getting kind of mad at us for doing lots of different stuff to it. Creating it and starting from scratch is maybe the right way to go. If you want to go ahead and add some particles to your bullets, I think you should. I think it would make it look a lot better. I wouldn't worry about collision for your bullets, but maybe a nice color and size over lifetime. And then some noise if you wanted it. Might be real nice. Oh, that's cool. Something I never noticed before. Because this particle system is set to collide with everything, it's colliding with my bullets too. And so my bullets are pushing the particles around. That's neat. Look at it kick it up like smoke. Ah.
I'm not getting anything on my bullets. Any particles on my bullets.
Where are you putting the particle system?
On the bullet itself.
On the prefab?
Yeah.
Okay, so right down here in this scene.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So one thing that's different about my bullets, and I'll build a new cube to show off. The default, okay, start speed 1, emission, shape, sphere, and then this is cool. If you change your render mode from billboard to a mesh, you can actually get actual cubes. And then you can change it to, let's say, default diffuse. Why are you guys inside out? Oh, because you're following render alignment world. Okay, so you guys should get cubes, and that's kind of a cool thing, isn't it? But let's change this size over lifetime to get smaller. And let's change the speed to 0.2 and the simulation space to world. Okay, so this is generating 10 cubes per second, but your bullet is flying super fast, right? So you're not going to get that many cubes for your bullet that goes zoom and then is gone. What you want to do is you want to change your rate over time to 0 and your rate over distance to a small number like 2. Because as you move it, then you create. And the faster you create, so the amount of distance that you go is the amount of particles that you make. So you can see that even 2 is a lot. And so if I change that to 1, but speed this guy up real fast, then I will have a lot of particles still. So rate over distance is real powerful, but also real dangerous, so be careful. You can also do fun things with your renderer of cubes. You can tell them to cast shadows, and you get all sorts of pretty stuff. The issue with cubes is that they can't change color because they're a default material. You'd have to add some custom shaders and stuff to make that work. Let's change the start size 0.2 to 1. And the start rotation, we should probably just make this random. Randomize rotation 3, 1. That's not what I want. Thoughts?
So when they're added to the bullets, it makes it look like my bullets are vomiting.
Bullets are vomiting?
Yeah. Because they pop out the gun and they're the ones making the particles rather than the gun.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've noticed that. This is more akin to like a rocket launcher that has, flame coming out of the rocket, whereas your gun would be creating the blast of smoke, and the smoke would stay near your gun. But if I made this cube my bullet prefab, it'd be super fun. Okay, you guys ready? Nice.
I'm not getting anything on my bullets.
You're gonna break in.
Not getting, okay, so I'm coming to you. Coming to you, start lifetime, 2 seconds. So an important thing to notice is that my bullets only exist for 2 seconds. So I should make my particle system also only last for 2 seconds. Man, that's fun. You see how it shadows the entire world? Gosh, I love that. Okay. All right, so let's see your bullets. Okay, you want to shoot them for me? Okay. Let me have a look for a second. This is our bullet? Mm-hmm.
Where it's like,
Does it take a second to get
as you
in?
shoot, it gets the
Stop.
gets
Start.
closer.
Are they facing the camera? Render alignment view. This way you're always seeing them because they're always looking at the camera. It might have been that they were facing that way and you weren't seeing them.
Test.
you'll have to, here, I will have to update this, so apply changes. Now try it.
There we go.
Oh, still nothing. Strange. Okay, let me have a look at something else. So we'll change our emission. It shouldn't matter, honestly. 5. So as we move, it builds stuff. Let's look at our, let's make sure we're using the same bullet. Obviously they were red. Huh, super strange.
I don't know what, it's like working fine when I first tried to apply it, albeit it had like the source
Purple texture?
The source engine missing texture on it.
Okay. I'm gonna turn this cube off for a second. I don't think it should make a difference, but I don't know what's wrong.
I don't know what the problem is with it either.
So,
Click on the bullet.
thank you. This guy. Color over lifetime. Start size 1. Start speed 0. Simulation space world. Mission. Renderer. Don't need that. It shouldn't matter. Can we try rebuilding it?
Sure, let's try it.
Okay. Because you said it worked just fine, right?
Before, yeah, it worked before test.
Okay. So, simulation space world. Okay. So the issue you're running into now is simply this one.
This is kind of cool.
Oh.
So
Nice.
It'll destroy your game.
Okay.
surprisingly,
That's pretty nice.
Alright,
So, you keep messing with it, all right?
alright.
All right.
I love this.
So what are we going to build? What are we going to build next?
We should build a bullet spread.
Bullet spread.
Awesome.
I think I kind of accomplished
Yeah.
that already.
Yeah. What would you say?
Have it where there's an if statement that only when the key gets pressed down and the bullets come out, does the gun emit any particle effects? Rather than having the bullets themselves have particle effects?
Let's deal with that later. One thing I like about the bullets is that I can watch their trail as they go. So I kind of like having the bullets do what they do. But on the other hand, you know what I don't like is I don't like having a bullet shoot out every frame. So let's start with
Fire rates.
fire rates. Yeah, let's talk about slowing down our bullets. So let me go back to my normal bullet. It's not so insane. And let's go to our gun. Okay, so we need a timer in void update. So let's build our timer. We all know how to do that, right? If timer is greater than 0.2f. Okay, so I'm going to have my bullets start out at 0.2 seconds. I'm building this as simple, as brutally simple as I can for right now. I want to shoot 5 times a second. So I'm going to have this Boolean, can fire is true. Timer is greater than 0.2. It's a weird way to do it. Okay, that's fine. There's a few different ways you can make your timer run. I'm just going to add timer plus equals time.delta time. If you guys have a better, more efficient, better way to do this, simpler way to do this, let me know. And so when we hold the mouse down, we check for if can fire is true, then we fire a bullet, and we set can fire equal to false. Okay, so in FPS controller, in player controller, they're going to call fire every frame. And for 0.2 seconds, well, the first time it'll be true. Then we'll make it false and make it wait 0.2 seconds, and then reset. So some of the resetting our timer is going to be in a different spot. So for example, if can fire is true, you guys want to see another cool thing? Yeah. So if can fire is true, we are going to fire. So can fire is equal to false, and timer is equal to 0. So that resets our timer, and it sets can fire to false, and then we do the rest of our bullet creation. Semicolon on the end of 27.
Well, yeah, now it just makes exactly what you want to get in.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed one of these. Or I have too many.
Tab 33 back. Stupid mouse. Tab back. Okay. Tab forward. Okay, so if can fire is true, here's that. Tab that out. Or we'll just close it. So that's that. That's that. That's end of update. Ah, that's our issue. This guy. Control X. It's so messed up. Paste.
Sorry.
It's all right. Okay.
Okay.
So
I don't know
can
how I did that because it worked before.
fire.
Oh.
If timer. And then. Okay, so that's the end of update. That's the beginning and end of fire. And there's the end of the script.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Cutter.
I had a question. Trying to play one shot. When I click the mouse fire button, and I don't know what I'm missing.
Okay, put that in your gun script.
Put in the gun script.
Yeah, look at you getting ahead of people and writing it wrong. But I like that. Yeah, all of your audio stuff should be in your gun script because the gun is making the sound. Yes.
It suddenly hates this for no reason.
Suddenly hates what?
Because I had this just get key down.
Yeah.
Turns to up to this, and it just doesn't like this for some reason.
Yeah, time should be timer. That first one.
Oh, oops.
That's timer. Because you can't add something to itself. Okay, let me see what I get. Hopefully, it only shoots 5 times a second. Yeah, look at that. That is what I'm talking about. You guys getting that? Not quite.
Feel like shooting like a mini gun.
Okay.
Mine has no problem.
Okay, good. Let's look at yours, Dalton. Timer plus equals delta time. Timer is greater than 2. Ah, yes. All of these 4 lines of code need to be inside your if statement. Cool. Does everybody else have slower fire rates? Okay. So the question is, how do we adjust this 0.2 to be a slider in the inspector? That's one way, yeah, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. Let's build this 0.2 into a variable that's public, yes.
You make it a variable, we get a public variable, and you add the range attribute to it.
Yeah. Of course you know that. Good. Happy with what you're making? Can I see?
Just making blue or light button spread.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Yeah.
Having bugs.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
Actually, namely the fact that it doesn't work.
No, it's the fact that this is messed up first.
Bloom.
This isn't even for any of that. No, that.
Yeah, where's your keyboard?
I wanted to but I should be getting my laptop fixed tonight, so.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's not for any of that. It's not for it's
And it just goes down.
That sticks around 15.8, 15.9.
Yeah, I think this should be like 0.5. Then it'll start going up. That's just kind of weird thing that I didn't want to do.
Oh, you're making it less accurate as you keep shooting?
Yeah.
Huh. You should probably make it top out at some point, right?
Oh, it does. It tops out max spread, which
Cool.
shouldn't be going higher.
Nice. All right. Nice. Happy?
Right?
Making
It
cool.
works, but I did a goof in that my particles
Yep.
follow the bullet.
Ah, so scroll up to the top of your particle system, simulation space, world. So right below your color. There you go. That's what you want. Do we have variables? Do we have variables for 0.2f? That's what we're doing. You guys don't know how to make variables?
I'm not moving.
It's just a float variable. That's all I need it to be. Instead of if timer is greater than 0.2f, make it timer is greater than, what would we call it? Fire speed, fire rate? Sure. However you want. What are you doing, Barley?
Everything's pretty much done.
You got a variable named fire rate?
Yeah.
No, you don't. Delay, good name.
Oh, just to show that it's working properly.
Good. Now change your rate over time to 0
Mm-hmm.
and your rate over distance to 2. That'll give it a much smoother, yeah. All right, now let's make this a range. By adding the range attribute This probably needs to be here like that. So this line of code here, square brackets range, parentheses 0.05 f comma 1, that gives me a slider in the inspector where I can change the value of my fire rate. Making it public would make a difference. Cool. So now I can change my fire rate down and shoot 20 times a second. Or I can increase that, shoot twice per second. Okay, let's take another break, and we'll come back and do some more stuff.
Can I see the code for that?
Yeah.
Okay, I got my bullet spread working.
Good. I was like, is that me breathing like that?
I downloaded
You did?
2 source files for substitute source.
Uh-huh.
I just don't know what to do with it. There's no exe or anything. It's like a whole